Hey there, thanks for joining me. I'm going to quickly take you through a small introduction with Bitcoin and just kind of go on in the context of what it really is in perspective of like the global, trends that are going on. So you might have heard of it, through your friends or on the news or through some financial advisor or something, but you were looking for more information and I just wanted to kind of break it down. So, the first place to start, the best place to start, I found was at this website, basically called We Use Coins, and the people that actually like manage majority of Bitcoin itself is actually on this site over here. So the code programmers, um, and so yeah, if you go and I was quickly play this guy.
What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital currency. Bitcoins are digital coins you can send through the internet. Compared to other alternatives, Bitcoins have a number of advantages. Bitcoins are transferred directly from person to person via the net, without going through a bank or clearinghouse. This means that the fees are much lower. You can use them in every country. Your account cannot be frozen, and there are no prerequisites or arbitrary limits. Let's look at how it works. Several currency exchanges exist where you can buy and sell bitcoins for dollars, euros, and more. Your bitcoins are kept in your digital wallet on your computer or mobile device. Sending bitcoins is as simple as sending an email, and you can purchase anything with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network is secured by individuals called miners. Miners are rewarded newly generated bitcoins for verifying transactions. After transactions are verified, they are recorded in a transparent public ledger. Bitcoin opens up a whole new platform for innovation. The software is completely open source and anyone can review the code. Bitcoin is changing finance the same way the web changed publishing. When everyone has access to a global market, great ideas flourish. Bitcoins are a great way for businesses to minimize transaction fees. It doesn't cost anything to start accepting them, and it's easy to set up. There are no chargebacks, and you'll get additional business from the Bitcoin economy. For more information about Bitcoin, visit weusecoins.com.
So, I mean, that's a lot of information in a small time period, and I mean, you can see there's a lot of benefits. One of them being that you can send money from one person to another, like instantaneously, in the sense that it's easily done, and you don't need any intermediary between. So that's one of the major benefits. Other one, of course, they talk about cost of sending. Um, that's changed over the time. It's relatively cheap still to do if you consider the security and so on, but it's a lot more expensive than what it was. So that's another issue. But that said, it's still got tremendous amount of benefits, way faster in transfer than if you're using a regular bank. Banks can take like days. With Bitcoin, it's a morning kind of thing. So um, yeah, so let me go from there. I'm gonna quickly get into my presentation. Yeah. So so basically, what I'm just presenting is, and I'll give you this link, and basically this is just an overview, not Bitcoin, but the surrounding aspects of it. So first, let's take a look at Canada, right? So most of us in Canada believe that the banking system's perfect and that our Canadian dollar is great and that everything is kind of working well. But the thing is, that's not so true. We're heavily hedged onto the American dollar. And this is just an article that you can read. And it basically goes into some of the history of 2008. Our banks were basically, the top five banks were bailed out as well, just like the States. And pretty much the point here is that we can look at the states and say if the states are in a position that's potentially not so good, then potentially that's going to happen to us as well. That's the point here. So what happens in the states kind of happens here as well. So I'm not going to go into major detail on this. I just want to give you an overview. If you look at the States, they've got $1.3 trillion of debt in student loans. That makes it about 44 million people borrowing loans down there. And that's the entire population of Canada. So, and they have to pay this back. These debts are not forgivable. $1.3 trillion has to be paid back. Auto loans, they've got people racked up in, car loans and so on, over $1 trillion there as well. And some of these vehicles are leased for like 8 years or something, so it's really a long haul, paying off your car for 8 years. And then credit card, that's over $1 trillion as well in the States, right? So as far as the private consumer, it's not looking great. They're in more debt now than they've ever been, way more than in 2008. If you look at just United States itself, the government of the United States, this is an indicator. Let me see if I can get closer to this. This is an indicator of 2008. The debt to GDP was 67, and 2016, so it's 106%, right? So, and that just keeps on going up and up and up. So that's not a good sign either. They are not able to maintain their purchasing power. Basically everything's going up in price because they're not able to hold the value steady. So, and similar thing is happening in Canada. I'll show you now. So that's all said. Basically, America is a very big country. It's very powerful. It's got a lot of support behind it. So even if it's got a lot of debt, it's not really a big concern. The bigger concern really is this over here. So the reserve currency, like, this is what gives the US dollar so much power, is that we all use it. When we go traveling, we can have US dollars with us and we can pretty much use it anywhere. But that's changing. And so the problem here that's major concern is that we've got other countries now contending for this position as reserve currency. If you go back into history, this is like, first we had Portugal, then we had Spain, then the Netherlands, and France, and Britain, and US, and you can see there's a beginning and an end, and so we're coming to an end with the dollar. It's pretty simple as that. So what's going to happen is the dollar will lose its value, and that's going to mean that we're going to lose our value. So that's more concerning to me than anything else. And the big thing here is the contenders are obviously China and Russia and other countries that have got very little debt. I'm not going to go into that right now, but basically China has got the same amount of debt that we have in Canada, but their population is, like, it's about 20 times bigger kind of thing. So it's a lot easier for them to pay it off. The States have $20 trillion in debt. I mean, I'm not going to go into the figures here, but the reality is the States is not in great position, and neither is Canada. So if you look at Canada, we've recently we're still going through an oil crash, embargo, and basically we're not producing. I mean, this used to be our cash cow, and we're not producing, and we've seen a lot of people move from these areas coming down to Vancouver and so on. And yeah, so basically that's dragging the whole of Canada. If you look at Vancouver itself, we're seeing, since last year, 17.94 percentage of bankruptcies are going up. And if you look at Canada itself, you could see basically 2008, it was 67, and now it's 92. So we are on the same kind of projected path. I mean, it's just slower, but it's pretty much up there. It's pretty high. There was something else as well, actually. There's also a lot of evidence showing that the housing market is slowing down, just generally slowing down. That the more expensive houses have capped now. We're not going to see a major growth in that anymore. We've seen more apartments and that kind of thing. But for the most part, those days of the housing prices going up and up and up, it seems to be slowing down. So okay, let's get to blockchain, let's get to Bitcoin. Let's talk about, what is the great thing about this, right? So, if you look at like internationally, there's a lot of unrest and so on, and so Bitcoin is basically this place where you can find sanctuary. You can find a place where you can put your money, you can take it across borders. They mentioned in the video that you have a lot more freedom. You can transfer. You can, if you go with cash across a border over $10,000, then you got to declare it. With Bitcoin, you can do it. There's no limit. You can do it in trillions. There's no limit. No one's going to know. You can go and cash it out in another country, and no one's going to know. So that's some of the major benefits of it. And if we take a look, this is the World Economic Forum. They meet every 3 years or so, and the last one was in 2015. And this is a great document to see a little bit about the interest from, people that are specialists in technology and trends and that kind of thing. There's a whole bunch of topics you can look at here. But if we look at here, it's number 16 is Bitcoin and blockchain. Okay, and I think they're governments and blockchain. So if I quickly go down, oh, there it is. Yeah, it is. So yeah, so basically the title is Tipping Point. They're saying 10% of the global domestic product, which is about $100 trillion, will be stored in blockchain technology. So just to make it clear, Bitcoin is only part of blockchain. Okay, what is blockchain? Blockchain is basically the technology Bitcoin is built on. And blockchain itself, this is opening up avenues to other kind of currencies and programs and so on. And so Bitcoin is the first and the most secure application on the blockchain technology. So they're saying if we just estimate, 10%, so we're talking about $10 trillion. Let's just say 50% of the blockchain network is going to be that, so say $5 trillion. There is a maximum capacity of Bitcoin of 21 million. So you can just do the math and go take a look at like we can do this quickly. What is the 5 trillion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Divided by 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, so you're looking at just roughly estimated around about 240,000, dollars. So that's a potential value for one Bitcoin. I think that's a reasonable value. I've heard of millions and so on, but yeah. So the question is, how do you, if you buy it now, which is a Canadian, it's like $10,000. It's going to be it's still a heck of a lot of more profit coming through. So yeah, so potentially you could see, thousands of percent of profit. Yeah, so it's a good time to get in. So that was the Economic Forum, and then just taking a look at there are 30 industries that they've concluded. This just came out actually today. And there's 30 industries that are going to be affected by blockchain, right? And it's pretty exciting. I mean, of course, the first one is the financial industry, right? So that's going to be banking. We're going to see major changes there. Cybersecurity, education, voting, this kind of networking, forecasting, music entertainment, rideshare, stock trading, real estate, insurance, healthcare, supply chain management, cloud storage, energy management, sports management, gift cards and loyalty programs, government public records. I mean, yeah, it just keeps on going on, right? This one's wills and inheritance. You can pretty much go anywhere now and in this industry, and you can just get involved, and it's going to grow, right? So a lot of potential there. It's a good time. And we know this year is particularly interesting because why did it go up this year? Well, I have another article about it, but basically the reasoning is because of partially the Trump, partially the insecurity of what is going on down in the States, and partially the fact that the debt is going to go up in the States, and a lot of the Chinese, a lot of the Eastern countries are basically pulling out. Right, they've taken $3 billion have been removed from stock exchange, and we're looking at we're looking at the Chinese basically buying Bitcoin. I mean, that's what was a big push at the beginning of the year, and we've seen this around us. Like, I mean, basically our Canadian dollar is losing its purchasing power, and China's purchasing power is going up, and so it's easy for them to go to other countries and buy land, and that's pretty much what's happening. So I'll leave you with that. It's really, again, just a quick snapshot. I didn't want to make it a long thing. And if you're interested in knowing more about the actual details on how to buy it, purchase it, I'll go through that with you. And basically it's pretty easy. There's no accounts you need to set up. There's no, what I'll do is I create a very safe kind of vault for you, a digital vault, and you would be able to go transfer your Bitcoin into that. And I use cash systems, so I work with a exchange, and they basically trade your cash for Bitcoin, and that's that. So it's pretty simple. You don't have to get too complicated. Online it gets complicated, so that's another way I would suggest. Anyway, that's all. I hope you have a good evening and keep in touch.